What's up and welcome back to Bar Down Talking Hockey, episode number 93, presented by the Barroom Network. My name is Vinnie Parise, and the New Jersey Devils are 4-1-1 in their last 6 games. And this right here, this is Frankie Mueller. And the Chicago Blackhawks are 2-0, undefeated without Patrick Kane. Frank, technical difficulties?
I'm so irritated right now.
Let it all out there, pal. Tell the people that were waiting in the YouTube. I saw that there were some people waiting in the YouTube for us. Tell them what happened. Tell them why.
Technology has everybody by the balls.
Oh, yeah.
We don't own technology. Technology owns us.
Yep.
I'm sitting here a half hour before the show waiting. Everything's fine, crisp. VP gets in. I see him pop in. We're ready to go. Nothing works. Camera doesn't connect to StreamYard. My mic doesn't connect. I try exiting the browser. Loading up a new browser. Maybe this will work. Nope, same thing. It tells me the nerve that I got to restart my computer. I didn't want to, but that was the only thing I had to do. Restarted the computer. We're here now. I'm just irritated.
You're irritated. You're finally seeing your favorite team win some games. Skylar said you had me so worried. We're here. We're here. We got plenty of shit to talk about, Frank. We got hockey. We got TV shows. We got the college football national championship, Sup Skokes, if that's what you want to call it. Skylar says was straight up panicking. You know, I kind of was too. We were, 11 minutes late? Now I can't use the real clock to see how long we've been going on the show. I got to use the little StreamYard clock that we got.
Late.
Yeah, I mean,
it happens.
Dude, I'll tell a real quick story. I had a guest one time. I can't remember who it was. It was for Crosstown Crosstalk. I had a guest lined up, and I don't like to keep guests waiting. Whether it's John Buccigross or Liam Hendricks or a fellow fan-sided writer. I treat them all equally. Nobody's better than anybody. So I treat them all equally, especially when it comes to being a guest on my show, giving up their time. My shit just randomly stops working right before the shit's about to start. 1:59. 1:59. It just decides to poop out. I text the person. I say, technical difficulties. Give me 5 minutes. And then, after 5 minutes, goes by, it's like, all right, are they going to eventually say they can't do it anymore? Then you're going to have to come up with a show in a short span without them. It's tough. It's tough. Luckily, today we don't have a guest. Next week, Frank, you better be on your damn game because we have the second biggest guest in the history of Bar Down Talking Hockey, maybe the first biggest guest in the history of Bar Down Talking Hockey coming next week. But I'm not announcing it to the world yet, so you're just going to have to make sure you follow at Vinnie Parise on Twitter.com or add me. I have Facebook. If you are a personal friend of mine, I will announce it on Facebook as well for the Skylers of the world and the Skokeses of the world. But Frank, I'm very excited about it. I know you know exactly what the plan is, but I'm waiting until it's a little bit closer to announce it, add a little bit of intrigue by hinting at it right now. And I will say this, it is somebody that relates to hockey, and we are going to talk about hockey in period number 1. Welcome to period 1, Frank. Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play. It is All-Star Game season. We are officially at the halfway mark of the National Hockey League season right now. The NHL is kind of like the MLB and the NBA where they call the All-Star Game the halfway point, but it's not. Right now is the halfway point. The New Jersey Devils just played their 41st game of the season last night against the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm pretty sure the Blackhawks are 41 games in now. I'm throwing this Expo marker all over the place. I think a couple teams are short of 41. There was one that was 39. I can't remember who it was. And then there were a couple at like 43. But the league as a whole is at the halfway point 2-day based on the number of days from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, regular season, of course. There's an extra 2 months of extra hockey that we call the Stanley Cup playoffs after that. So the season till the end of June isn't halfway over. But the regular season is halfway over as of today. I'm very excited about it. That means the All-Star game is coming. Frank, are you excited for the 2023 National Hockey League All-Star game that will take place in beautiful Sunrise, Florida?
Yeah, I'm always excited for the All-Star game. I do wish they would go back to the old format where you would draft and then you'd have the skills comp on Saturday and then Sunday you'd play the All-Star game. And I mean, you could still do that with the 3-on-3 tournament format. You could have a captain of the Pacific, Metro, Atlantic, and the Central Division, and you could still just do a draft that way, except you have 4 teams instead of 2. But that being said, I do not think it's going to be better than last year's All-Star game, the whole weekend as a whole, because I really enjoyed the dedicated comps they had for the skills competition based on the location they were in Vegas with the 21 and 22 or whatever it was, and then the Bellagio Fountain shootout. That was really cool. And then this year they're in South Florida, so I don't think there's going to be anything out of the ordinary in terms of the comps, as far as I know. I mean, maybe they'll throw some like palm trees out there on the ice or something like the NHL 23 video game cover. But, you know, I'm excited for it. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch the whole weekend and I'm going to love every second of it. I just don't think it's going to live up to last year's hype for me personally.
And the person representing your favorite team is Seth Jones. They omitted Patrick Kane. It makes me wonder if the Blackhawks asked them to do that. That is possible. That has happened throughout the years. What do you make of Seth Jones making it as their all-star? And what do you make of it not being Patrick Kane?
It's a little weird to me. Seth Jones, I mean, it's either his 5th or 4th time. I have no idea.
I think it's his 5th.
I think it's his 5th time. Was it 4 with Columbus?
Yep.
Yeah, so this is the first time with this Hawks, so I'm pretty sure, 5th time being an all-star. Little weird to me, though, given the year he's had. I mean, he hasn't had an exceptional year by any means, and I'm a little surprised it wasn't Kane if he wasn't omitted, but it's just, to me, it's very shocking, right? You look at Kane's numbers, he's deserving to be there, and if not Patrick Kane, I still don't think Jones would be my second choice. What about somebody like Max Domi, who leads the team in points, who's been playing phenomenal lately? I would have been fine with Max Domi making it, because to me, when you have a guy like Seth Jones make the All-Star game, he's not going to do anything that really is pretty or fancy in these competitions around the ice as somebody like Patrick Kane would, or even Max Domi. Max Domi's a very goofy guy, great personality. He could be out there to add that spark that you want to see in an all-star game. So I'm a little surprised that Max Domi didn't get it, if not Patrick Kane. Seth Jones really surprised me there, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with the decision.
My issue, they take one player from each team. If they didn't do that, no one from the Chicago Blackhawks would be going. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, they're 5 players.
That's how it should be. If you don't deserve to be an all-star, this isn't preschool. I don't think everybody should. I don't think every team deserves to have an all-star. It's not how it works.
I agree. But they want every team to watch. They want every team's fan base to watch. Especially,
I'm watching regardless.
Yeah, you're a diehard. There are people who will watch because there's a Blackhawk involved. And, that's the league's logic. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm with you. You don't deserve to be there. You don't go. The Blackhawks would have nobody going this year. The Coyotes probably would have nobody going this year. And that's not the same for every bad team. The Sharks stink. Erik Karlsson's going. No matter what, he might win the Norris Trophy. Yeah, I don't care where they are. It's not about where you are in the standings. It's whether or not you deserve to be an all-star. And the Dallas Stars, the Winnipeg Jets, the Minnesota Wild, those are all teams that are going to have omitted all-stars because Seth Jones made it, because they had to take one from each team. Not a fan of it, but it is the way the NHL works, and Seth Jones will be going to the All-Star game. One person who does deserve to be going to the NHL All-Star game is the man we call on this podcast, Lil Jizzy. Jack Hughes will be representing the New Jersey Devils in the Metropolitan Division. What do you make of that? Of course, I'm bringing it up.
Well, of course. I mean, this is what an all-star looks like. He's been doing fantastic this year. And actually, the game that I mentioned about to you last week if you were nervous about the Hurricanes. They won 5-3 the Devils. Jack Hughes didn't contribute at all on the score sheet, which just goes to show you when he does, it even increases their chances of winning that much more. And he's got that personality like he did the magician, the trick last year, and the skills competition that you want to see in an all-star game. So I think he's not only fits the criteria in terms of skill, but he fits the criteria in terms of like entertainment as well. So I think he is the perfect all-star to be chosen from the New Jersey Devils. He's going to be exciting to watch. And yeah, I can't wait to see him in action, to be honest with you. They've been fantastic.
Yeah, I think when the Devils are sending an all-star, Jack Hughes is the likely candidate every single year. I think he sure will get a couple, right? He's already got one. He might get voted in this year. I haven't seen if they released like updated standings yet. That'll actually probably come later this week. I think Jesper Bratt will be in the mix here and there if he signs long-term. Dougie Hamilton might get one, but Jack Hughes is just the guy for the New Jersey Devils. He's the face of their franchise. Frank, do you have the All-Star Game rosters in front of you right now?
I do, but before you go to that, I just want to say, like, we've talked to countless times and times on end on this show how Jack Hughes is that 100-point guy. He's got that ceiling about 100 points, and he's right kind of on pace for mid 90s. I don't know if we'll get to 100 this year, but I do think he's capable of getting to 100. But I just wanted to point that out. Like, we're spot on in terms of how we feel about him and his ceiling.
Yeah, I have even higher hopes for his ceiling now.
So I don't know if he's that type of player that could get like 115 though, or like 110. I see. I don't see that. I think he's like right on pace for his ceiling at like 98 to 100, maybe 95, somewhere in that range. I don't know if he could do the extra step.
For me, he's got 100 points in his last 82 games played. And that's a lot for a 20/21-year-old. So, like, there's room for improvement. Like, when he's 26, 27, I do believe 110, 115 is a realistic possibility just because of the way he plays. And he needs to stay healthy, obviously. He's only going to get bigger and stronger as the years go on, too. So, if especially if the guys around him start playing even better, too, and he's not playing with Eric Halla for a majority of his career like he is so far this year, I do think he could start really pushing those top numbers in the NHL. Like, he's 20 and 21 and getting 100. Like, if a player, they don't get worse as they're 26, 27, 28, they get better, and then they start tailing off when they're in their mid 30s. Like, I don't know. I think the sky's the limit for Jack Hughes. The only players, like, I think he's second for the Hart Trophy right now. I really do. Just because, most valuable player to your team. McDavid is one, like, right? Like, if the Oilers make the playoffs, it's solely because of him and Draisaitl. But, McDavid's got 20 points more than the second leading scorer in the NHL. I think Jack Hughes is right there in second place. I think he's 8th or 9th in league scoring right now. He's on pace for about 100, and he's 21 years old. There's a long way to go with this Devils team, but it's been fun to watch. Now, Frank, you can start off. I want to hear who is the rest of the players that make up all of the All-Star teams. I will let you do this one.
What are you looking for? I got the rosters in front of me.
The rosters of every team.
You want me to go through the rosters of every team?
Yep.
It's just the 32 that I have, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll start with the Metro. VP's Metro division. Starting from the top, we got Sidney Crosby from the Pittsburgh Penguins making his 5th All-Star appearance. Johnny Hockey from the Columbus Blue Jackets making his 7th All-Star appearance. Kevin Hayes from the Philadelphia Flyers making his 1st playoff All-Star appearance. Jack Hughes from the New Jersey Devils making his 2nd All-Star appearance. Brock Nelson from the New York Islanders making his 1st All-Star appearance. Alexander Ovechkin from the Washington Capitals making his 8th playoff and All-Star appearance. I keep saying playoffs. I'm in the playoff mood. Svechnikov from the Carolina Hurricanes making his 1st All-Star appearance. And Shesterkin from the New York Rangers making his 1st All-Star appearance. So that wraps up the Metro division right there. I guess I'll just keep going. Do you like that fact that I say like how many All-Stars they?
Yeah, no, I like that. Let's break down each division as we go, though.
Okay, go ahead.
The Metropolitan Division, It's obviously got the two greatest players in the last 20 years, Sidney Crosby and
Yep,
Alexander Ovechkin. One player that I believe is omitted from the Metropolitan Division is because he would never make it over Sidney Crosby. I think Evgeny Malkin has a chance to be one of the players voted in. He is one of
I
the
agree.
people I would vote for. And I'm curious what your take
No,
is. Who are the two players you're voting in and the goalie that you're voting in from the Metropolitan Division? Not saying who you think is going to make it because everybody has a different opinion. Who would Frankie Mueller cast his vote for?
okay. From the Metro, I think. Well, I agree with you 100%. Evgeny Malkin deserves to be there, but you're not going to get over Sidney Crosby. It's not going to happen. Now, another guy, you're probably not going to expect me to say this, is Konecki from the Philadelphia Flyers. I'm a little surprised they went with Hayes over Konecki. Um, me personally, I think he deserves to be there over Hayes. So I would probably have to give him my vote. Just the production that we've seen from him on this bad Flyers team, he's still producing at a pretty good rate. So he'd probably be my pick number 2. And then what else are you asking for?
The goalie that'll get voted.
A goalie from the Metropolitan Division. Let's see. This is gonna sound crazy because I don't know. It's who I would vote in. I would vote in Kochetkov from the Carolina Hurricanes. He has been fantastic, but he's never going to make it. I don't think he doesn't have enough games under his belt. He doesn't have enough games under his belt. I don't think he'd ever make it, and I don't know if people are going to vote for him. But I would 100%. What I've seen from this guy this year, this young goaltending athlete, I would have to give him my vote, and he'd have to make it for me.
I agree with you on all three of your picks. I would throw because I think Konechny probably deserves it more than Kevin Hayes, but I'm still happy for Kevin Hayes. He was extremely emotional about making it with everything that happened to their family in the last couple of
Mhm.
years. Kevin Hayes is the best one. That's his nickname for a reason, the best one. He's just an unbelievable dude. I love Kevin Hayes. I'm happy he gets to have this experience. Konechny's going to make a million All-Star games. Maybe he'll get voted in this year, and that'll right the ship. I think that's possible. Evgeny Malkin. I would love to see Nico Hischier, right? I think he's the most underrated player in the
Mhm.
Metropolitan Division. Jack Hughes leads all the players in scoring of any player that made the Metropolitan Division. I do want to note that, and which is pretty crazy that Sidney Crosby and Ovechkin are having the great years that they're having, and Jack Hughes is amongst them. For goaltending, I think there will be three people that have a chance from the Metro to be the voted in player: Vitek Vanacek, Pyotr Kochetkov, and Vitek, or did I say Vitek Vanacek?
Yeah.
Ilya Sorokin. Those are the three that I think all three of those guys could be in like the Vezina Trophy conversation.
Mhm.
I think the Bruins representative for the All-Star game that we'll get to in a couple minutes is going to win the Vezina Trophy. But I think all three of those guys that I just named will be in the conversation, along with somebody from the Metropolitan or from the Central Division later on that we'll talk about too. But those are my picks. I think it'll be the goalie I'll pick is Sorokin. I think it'll
Okay.
be the two New York goalies in the All-Star game, and then I do think Malkin and Konechny are the guys making it to the All-Star game via the fan vote. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he sure makes it, but we'll see what happens. All right, let's move on to your Central Division All-Stars.
All right. In the Central Division, we got Kirill the Throw Kaprizov making his
Real.
second All Star appearance with the Minnesota Wild. Clayton Keller from the Arizona Coyotes making his third All Star appearance. Jason Robertson from the Dallas Stars making his first All Star appearance. Vladimir Tarasenko from the St. Louis Blues making his fourth All Star appearance. Seth Jones from the Chicago Blackhawks making his fifth All Star appearance. Cale Makar from the Colorado Avalanche making his second All Star appearance. Morrissey from the Winnipeg Jets making his first All Star appearance. And Saros from the Nashville Predators making his second All Star appearance. What do you think, VP?
I think it's a very interesting list. I'll go first on this one. I think my representatives that I think they all deserve it, right? I think
Yeah.
Morrissey is one of the most underrated players in the NHL. People will probably poo-poo on that pick. I don't agree. I think he's absolutely deserving. Um, I do think his his leading scorer on his team, Kyle Connor, should be one of the players voted in based on what is deserving. And then, you look around the rest of the division, I think Mikko Rantanen is also probably very deserving of being voted in as well. Those are the two guys I will throw. What's his name? Pierre-Luc Dubois' name has to be in the mix. So I think it'll come from that group of players. I'm not really sure if there's a wild forward that deserves it over any of the other guys. Same thing with
Mhm.
Nashville. Nashville's forward and D. It's interesting. They went with Saros as their All-Star game representative because I do think so
I'm a
far
little
this year.
shocked.
Yeah, so far this year, I would have put Yossi from the Predators,
I
and
should have
then my two goalies would be Hellebuck and Ottinger. And so now I think one of Hellebuck or Ottinger will be one of the two guys voted in. The other one's going to be watching the All-Star game from a freaking beach because they're taking a vacation. Maybe they'll go down and hang in South Florida with a couple of their teammates. That's what I would do. But that's my take on the Central Division. Do I think Patrick Kane has a chance to get voted in simply because the Chicago voting has been known to dominate these ballots over the years? You might remember when the MLB All-Star Game had a last man in for the National League and the American League. The two people that got in last minute were Anthony Rizzo and Chris Sale. The Chicago just owned the freaking voting for that, and there was the year where they voted in the starting lineup, and the starting lineup was Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, I think someone
Duncan
else,
Keith, I'm pretty sure.
Duncan Keith, Brent Seabrook, and Corey Crawford were all. It was like 5 of the 6 starters for the game were Blackhawks. I can't remember who the 5th or the 6th was that wasn't a member of the Blackhawks, but it was just one of those things, Chicago can own. So it wouldn't. And Patrick Kane's been, when they used to vote for the captain instead of the final people in, like they're doing this year, it used to be you vote for the captain of each division. Patrick Kane's been the captain a couple times. So Chicago does do well in the
Yep.
voting. He wouldn't be my deserved nominee, but it wouldn't be shocking to me if he was voted in.
I agreed with a lot of the stuff you said. Kyle Connor deserves to be there. Kind of shocked that Morrissey got in over him. Kyle Connor's having an absolutely fantastic year, and you nailed it on the head with UC Saros because he started this year pretty bad. I was kind of worried for him because I have him on our fantasy team in our league, and I was like, oh my god, I chose this guy early, and he's not doing that good. He's not putting up those numbers that we were thinking he would put up, and the fact that Roman Yossi didn't get in, but a guy like Seth Jones got in, kind of like weirds me out a little bit. That's not the right wording, but it's like, why would you have Seth Jones in over Yossi? And like Yossi is not having Yossi's year last year, but if you're gonna have a defenseman, Seth Jones or Roman Yossi, like who the fans want to see, you're gonna want to see Roman Yossi over Seth Jones. And me as a Blackhawks fan can admit that. Like Roman Yossi is more exciting of the two. So that's just a little surprising in my eyes. But Saros, we know what he can do when he's on point, and he's a very skilled goaltender, and that's what they want. They want competitiveness, and maybe he's going to bring that to the game. I'm also a little surprised that Tarasenko got in. That just boggles my mind. How did Tarasenko get in over Kyrou?
Well,
Like,
Kyrie's probably going to be his injury replacement because Tarasenko's not going to be healthy by the time.
but why even make him the like Kyrou is just he leads the team. Like I am stunned. Like Kyrou's having a pretty good year for the
Made a
St. Louis
sick
Blues.
play in overtime to create a 2-on-1 for them.
Like to me, that is just stunning from the Central Division. This year is probably the most shocked I've been in an All-Star roster in quite some time. It's just not a lot of it's making sense to me, and the Central Division may be like the most messed up with Tarasenko, Jones, Morrissey, Saros. To me, it's like I don't know what they're doing, but it's got a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, I'll be more cool with Morrissey making it if Kyle Connor's voted in.
He might not be though.
I know he might not be.
Is Kyle Connor a guy you're going to vote in? Like, are
Yeah,
people going to vote him in? I don't know.
I'm just surprised they took 2 defensemen. Most divisions only have one, and they didn't even take the one I would. But like I said, I'm full respect to Morrissey. I do think he is an all-star caliber player. I do. They're second in their division. They're 26, 14, and 1. He's a big part of that. I am going to give my respect to Josh Morrissey and the Winnipeg Jets, but I'm a little surprised it wasn't Connor. There was another point. Oh, do you remember who drafted Seth Jones?
Was it? It wasn't Ottawa.
No,
I don't remember them.
it was the Nashville Predators. They chose Roman Yossi over Seth Jones. Because they had Shea Weber at the time too. Man, that year that the Hawks beat them with Scott Darling, they had Weber, Yossi, Jones, Ekholm, and Ellis,
I do remember
and
him.
they lost.
Yeah.
Like, how do you lose to the Blackhawks who end up winning the cup? That just goes to show how good the Blackhawks were. Nashville probably would have won the cup that year. And they traded Seth Jones to the Columbus Blue Jackets in exchange for Ryan Johansson. It was a 1-for-1 trade. I
Yeah.
remember I was in sociology class and I got the notification on my phone that they had been traded 1-for-1. And I was like, holy crap, that's this closest thing to a hockey trade that you can get in the NHL. It was like, when they say a hockey trade, it has nothing to do with the salaries. There's no draft picks. It is literally hey, both teams are trying to improve their hockey chances this year. That's what is meant by a hockey trade.
Mhm.
And I would say there aren't many hockey trades in the NHL these days. It's a lot of times a team looking to
It's
offload
rare.
a really good player for, contract reasons or, draft picks. Like when the Blackhawks trade Patrick Kane, if they do, that won't be a hockey trade. Right? The Blackhawks won't be looking to improve their current team by making that trade. In fact, they are solely admitting they're trying to make it worse by making a trade like that. So the Seth Jones trade, I'll always remember that. So now I think it's funny that Jones is in the All-Star game and Yossi's watching from home, even though the wrong guy is watching from home and Jones plays for a division rival. It's just crazy how the world of hockey gets turned upside down sometimes. But Frank, now I think it's time we move on to the Pacific Division of the National Hockey League.
All right. From the Seattle Kraken, Beniers is making his first All-Star appearance. Kevin Fiala from the Los Angeles Kings making his first All-Star appearance. Nazem Kadri from the Calgary Flames making his second All-Star appearance. Connor McDavid from the Edmonton Oilers making his sixth All-Star appearance. Troy Terry from the Anaheim Ducks making his second All-Star appearance. Pedersen, whatever you want to say, from the Vancouver Canucks making his third All-Star appearance. Erik Karlsson from the San Jose Sharks making his seventh, a whopping 7-bomb All-Star appearance. And Logan Thompson from the Vegas Golden Knights making his first All-Star appearance. I just want to go out and say Beniers is having a phenomenal year. I'm rocking my Kraken hat. And the podcast we did where we were predicting the trophy winners, he was my pick for Rookie of the Year. I'm pretty sure he was my pick for Rookie of the
We
Year.
both had him.
I know he was my leading point scorer. Was he? For the Kraken? Did I go with him?
You probably did.
I think I did. I definitely chose him to be Rookie of the Year, I think. I mean, we could fact check that or somebody else could fact check that. But yeah, Beniers fantastic. I go down this list. Logan Thompson kind of surprised me as the goaltender for the Pacific Division now. Don't get me wrong. This man is having a fantastic year, and he definitely deserves to be there. I'm trying to think of a goaltender from the Pacific who would make it over him. I mean, Martin Jones been pretty good lately, not over the long haul of the first half of the season. Jonathan Quick, probably not. Who's the goalie for the Oilers? What's his name?
He's having a great year. Stuart Skinner. That's who I was going to say.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him having
Calder Trophy finalist if the season ended today.
Absolutely. I mean, Thompson is having a great year, though, and the Vegas Golden Knights are having a great year, so that's got to be the reason for it. But I'm surprised, Eichel didn't get in, who I know has been dealing with injury, and, there's just so many other talented guys on this team. Timo Meier could have got in, but like you said, Erik Karlsson's having a phenomenal year. So, but is Timo Meier going to be a guy that gets voted in? I don't know. I don't know if the fans are going to vote a guy like that in. Normally, the fans like to vote in that guy that's way out there, like completely random. It could be anybody, a fourth liner, or they're going to vote in big name players. So I don't know if a guy like Timo Meier would be in. but he's very, very, very well deserving. And if I was voting, I would vote Timo Meyer in. Um, I'm just kind of rambling on now because I don't know. Obviously, Draisaitl's not going to make it over McDavid. He's a guy who I could see very well be voting in. But a lot of first timers on this Pacific division making it: Beniers, Fiala, and Thompson. With Terry and Kadri only having this will only be their second All Star appearance, so this is a very rookie-ish team, despite Eric Carlson.
Yeah, I would think Draisaitl's the guy. He's got to be the guy.
I would assume so.
I'll be annoyed if he's not voted in because then it'll just be a popularity contest. Like Draisaitl deserves to be in, guys. Go vote for Leon Draisaitl right
People
now.
will vote for him. He's got that name. Like everybody
Yeah.
knows Leon Draisaitl.
Oh
People will
yeah.
vote for him.
Yeah. He's well known as a top 5 player in the NHL because he is. I'm happy Logan Thompson made it. You know, he was in the Devils system. He played one game for the Devils,
Really?
got absolutely freaking shelled, and they moved on from him. And now he's Vegas's starting netminder in the All-Star game. It's honestly
He's been
phenomenal.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Like I'm not shitting on Logan Thompson. I'm just a little surprised. He's got a 266 goals against, which it's okay. There's goaltenders better in the Pacific. I'm pretty sure that has a lower goals against. But I think a big part of that is because of how well Vegas has been playing.
Yeah, goals against is a fraud stat though, because it's a measurement of your team too. Like if you give up 50 shots and the goalie saves 47 of them, his save percentage is like 930, but his goals against average is 3. Like that's why I just hate goals. Like Logan Thompson's save percentage is
I'm a
914.
big goals against guy.
Goals against is a fraud stat. I just pointed out why.
Yeah, I know. I still don't agree with you. I still am a big I'm still a big goals against guy.
There's got to be context to it. Like,
Well, it just tells you how many goals the goalie has let up, though.
but
I'm not combining it with save percentage.
But his save percentage is 914, which is the same
Right.
as Kachetkov, uh, Stuart Skinner, who we were just
But what
saying is no
matters the
good.
most is not the shots on goals; it's the pucks that go in the net.
Yeah,
So in my opinion, goals against is way more important than save percentage. You can have a great save percentage, but what I'm looking for is if you could keep the puck out of the net.
yeah, but there are teams that screw over their goalies.
Yeah, and that's why if you're on one of those teams or a team that doesn't have good people in front of you, good defense or offense to produce for you, it kind of sucks for you. But that's just something you got to deal with.
Yeah, a lot of the times though, like if you give up 50 shots, or if you give up 60 shots in a game, which does happen, you give up 60 shots in a game, the goalie lets in 4. You're telling me that's the goalie's fault? His goals against average is 4. But his save percentage is 950. Like he saved 95% of the shots that went in. I think you got to use context. If you're shooting or if your save percentage is 892 and your goals against is 4.1, then you got a stinky goalie. But
I get what you're saying.
I don't know. I never look at goals against average. I hate it. Okay, but you got a guy like Linus Allmark who leads in both. That is a goalie where like the Bruins are winning because of their goalie. They're not giving up goals because of their goalie. But then you look at a guy like Sorokin who has a 925 save percentage, but his goals against average is 2.3. 2.3 is good, but it's not like, top 5. I think it's just in the top 5. But like his save percentage is second in the NHL. In my opinion, he's been the second best goalie. He has saved the second best percentage of shots.
I hear
But I don't know. I think Logan Thompson, regardless of what any of his numbers are, has exceeded expectations in every way. And I'm happy for him. Like, I could see a Vegas guy getting voted into the All-Star game, though. If Jack Eichel got voted in or if Mark Stone got voted in, I don't think they would vote in someone like Pietrangelo this year. He was there last year. But I don't know. The Pacific Division is very good. And people are going to look at it and see it as an unrecognizable lineup a lot of the part of it. But I'm like, that doesn't mean they're not very good just because, McKinnon's not there or whatever. McKinnon could get voted in. He scored yesterday. He'll be eligible. But I don't know.
I do think they're one of the weakest of the 4 teams, though.
I would put him third.
Yeah. You think the Central's less?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. They're right there. They're close.
I think the Eastern Conference is just better in general. Do I
Yeah.
think that means they'll win the cup? Not necessarily. Vegas could win the cup. Winnipeg could win the cup with the Wild. The Avalanche could come out of their shell. Um, McDavid and Edmonton, I don't know. Calgary, I don't know. But like they could win the cup, but I think the teams they go through will be weaker than the teams that the Eastern Conference champion go through. And that could be why the West, that's lucky for the Western Conference champion. Maybe the Eastern Conference champion will be, brittled down by the time they reach the Stanley Cup final. That always happens sometimes too. I think the Blues were a product of that in 2019. The Bruins had to go through all these freaking wild animals, and then they faced the Blues in the Stanley Cup final. Easy peasy. Nope. So see what happens. Frank, I know you have that Atlantic Division roster ahead of you right now.
Yep. Got Nikita Kucherov from the Tampa Bay Lightning making his fourth All-Star appearance. Dylan Larkin from the Detroit Red Wings making his third All-Star appearance. Mitchell Marner from the Toronto Maple Leafs making his second All-Star appearance. Nick Suzuki from the Montreal Canadiens making his second All-Star appearance. Tage Thompson from the Buffalo Sabres making his first All-Star appearance. Brady Tkachuk from the Ottawa Senators making his third All-Star appearance. Matthew Tkachuk from the Florida Panthers making his second All-Star appearance. And Linus Ullmark from the Boston Bruins making his first All-Star appearance. Got to be honest with you, nobody was making it from the Lightning over Kucherov. Kucherov is just having a phenomenal year. I think he's got like 59 points. And then on the bottom, when you got Linus Ullmark, kind of surprised Pasternak didn't make it, given how much of like a gap Pasternak has on this Bruins team. I mean, him, Marchand, Bergeron, they're all deserving of making it, but they gave it to the young guy who's just having an unbelievable year, who has only lost once in regulation and 2 times all year. I'm actually kind of glad they gave it to Allmark because Allmark would not have gotten voted in whatsoever. But guys like Pasternak, Bergeron, Marchand have that opportunity of getting in. So I'm actually happy they went the Allmark route. You got the Tkachuk brothers. That'll be cool. The brothers playing on the same team. Tage Thompson deserves it. Like I said, I've been wrong about Tage Thompson. He's having a phenomenal year, making his first All-Star appearance. Guy like Austin Matthews, just because of his name, and we know how skillful he is, could get voted into. Mitchell Marner, so being the option from the Maple Leafs, not a bad option. But this team as a whole, it looks pretty good. If Vasilevsky, another goaltender, were to make the team, wouldn't be surprised. He's the guy who comes up clutch in games, big games. I think that he would be a great goaltender to have on this Atlantic Division team. So if I had to choose a goaltender that didn't make it, I would give it to Vasilevsky potentially. So that's what I got for you on the Atlantic.
Yeah, my people that would make it would be Austin Matthews, David Pasternak, and Vasilevsky. Those
So
are the people that I.
basically the same three I just mentioned.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've agreed on every one except one, I think. And I mean, because to me, this one is like if you argue this one with me, I'm just not entertaining. Like you're not watching hockey because I truly believe. Listen, points aren't everything in the NHL. They're not. I hate to break it to you, they're not. Austin Matthews is having a better year this year than he was last year. I wholeheartedly believe that. He is going to score anywhere from 15 to 20 less goals. I don't care. He's probably going to have right around the same number of points. Okay, he's got 47 points in 40 games played. They play tonight against Washington. Wouldn't shock me if he pots a
No,
couple in this game at all.
Buffalo
And
or no, Philly plays Washington.
Philly plays Washington. Nashville plays Toronto. Sorry. They play Nashville tonight. It wouldn't shock me at all if he has a big game. TNT,
Yep,
Austin Matthews, he's got 20 goals.
100%.
He's not on pace for 60. He's probably not going to win the Rocket Richard. I honestly believe Matthews is putting it all in on winning this year. It's not about breaking a goal record, and then being dry in the first round, even though he wasn't dry in the first round last year. And they lost game 7 by 1 to the team that went to the cup. Matthews, in my wholehearted opinion, is having a better year this year than he was last year. It's more evenly balanced. I hate plus minus, but he's plus 17. He's playing a way better two-way game. His two-way game is off the chart. I believe if the season were to end today, there's a chance he'd be a Selke nominee with Hischier and Bergeron. Obviously, Mark Stone and guys like that are in the conversation as well. But Austin Matthews, he's the best player in the Atlantic Division. He wasn't going to make it this year over, you said it was Nylander that made it or Marner?
Mitchell Marner.
It was Marner that made. Okay, well, Marner had the point streak. He's got 2 more points than Matthews right now. I don't believe he will finish the season as the Maple Leafs scoring leader. I believe that will be Austin Matthews. Instead of just firing the puck on net all the time now, he's making the smarter plays a little bit more. And the Leafs have been a much better team. The Leafs are currently 25-9-7. They're not going to catch the Bruins. Nobody's going to catch the Bruins. They don't lose. But I think the Leafs are the best team in the Eastern Conference besides the Bruins. And, if they meet in a conference final or a second round, and it's going to be a great series, I literally can't wait for it. Matthews is my guy. Then Pastrnak, same thing.
Yep.
He's a top 10 player in the NHL, in my opinion. If the Bruins win the Cup this year, it wouldn't shock me if he moves on, unless they extend him before.
Pastrnak?
Yeah, because he is going to want a lot of money, and the Bruins don't give typically contracts like the one Pasta deserves. They just don't. Marchand's underpaid. Bergeron's underpaid. McAvoy's underpaid. Even Hampus Lindholm is underpaid. For a long time, Tuukka Rask was their highest paid player, and you can argue he was underpaid based on what his peers were getting in net. The Lundqvists, the Prices, guys like that who were elite at the same time as him. Jonathan Quick, Corey Crawford, guys like that. The Bruins don't normally give out an 8x12 contract, which is what Pastrnak kind of deserves, right? Like, if I was him, I would want to be the second highest paid player in the NHL behind McDavid. Call a spade a spade. He's one of the best players in the NHL. His contract's up. He's next in line. And then Vasilevsky is right there with Igor Shesterkin for me for the best goalie in the NHL. This year, Allmark has been, better than everyone. I think it's one of those things. Allmark made it over Pastrnak because of all the bad looks that the NHL has with this roster. The worst look they could possibly have would be omitting the guy who leads the league in save percentage and goals against. No matter how you feel about either stat. I know there are people in the world that agree with you. I know there are people in the world that agree with me. The fact of the matter is, if you lead in both, that means not only are you stopping almost every puck you see, you're also helping elevate your team if your goals against is that low. Because if the Bruins give up 50 shots, he's giving up an average of 2 goals, which is even more impressive. And that's proven by his save percentage. So the fact that his goals against is so low. So when you lead in both, if they don't put that guy in, they're going to have riots in the streets. So,
right.
Pastrnak, he'll probably get voted in. But I honestly think the Atlantic has the most cut and dry. These are the people that should be voted in. Would it stun me if someone from the Leafs got in because someone extra from the Leafs got in? Matt Murray's deserving. Although the NHL doesn't like him very much right now. They're investigating in the whole goalpost thing, and it's all because of Matt Murray. If a Lightning player got voted in because of their popularity, Buffalo's a huge online community with hockey. If a Rasmus Dahlin got voted in, he'd probably be second for the Norris Trophy if the season ended today, behind Erik Karlsson. Ottawa's got a lot of people. Montreal, big fan base. So, but we know who deserves it from the Atlantic.
I agree. It was very cut and dry. Interestingly enough, there are 11 first-time All-Stars this year, so there's a lot of new faces. It's about 33% almost of the whole first people first named on the roster are newcomers. So it's going to be a different next generation type of feel to this All-Star game.
Absolutely, and a lot of these guys we could absolutely see making it to more as the years go on. So that's exciting. That's the All-Star game. We're going to be covering it through and through as this show goes on. We have a big All-Star themed guest next weekend, guys. I'm legitimately so excited for this thing. Like, I'm going to be up at night thinking about it. That's how excited I am. And, I'll probably make an announcement on who it is over the weekend. I'm thinking either Friday at night or Saturday during the day or even Sunday during the day while everyone's watching some foosball. Very much looking forward to it. So, Frank, I think with that, we can get to the other NHL business going on in the league in period number 2. Welcome to period 2. Frank, are you still upset about the frickin' internet? I can tell.
It ruined the whole mojo.
What the fuck, man? Get the fuck over it. Honestly. It happens all the time.
Computer's slow then.
You
And
you think anyone who's done a podcast before never had some technical difficulties?
it's just annoying.
The Barstool Chicago guys have like a days without issues sign, and it's always 0. I mean, what the fuck, dude? You think you're the only one? Everyone's gonna cry Frankie Mueller a river because his camera wasn't working for
They
5
hope and
minutes?
build me a boat.
To build you a boat so you could get the fuck over it, bro. We're in period number 2, and you're still pouting that we were a little late. Oh, Frankie's a little late to the show. You're fine. You're the best producer in the land. I mean,
Appreciate it.
I have all the faith in the world in you. If I was pissed at you for being 5 minutes late today, you'd be banned from our interview next week. But you're not.
I could be.
You're not. I'm trying to hype you up, man.
I'm hyped.
Forget about it.
All right.
Forget about it.
I deleted it.
It's gone. See ya. Pasternak and the Bruins are on fire. Talk to me about it.
I mean, yeah, it's just they're going to do exactly what I said last week. The second half of the season, they're not going to take their foot off the gas. I'm going to go ahead and say this is a bold statement, but not really. They got the President's Trophy locked up. There's not one team. I don't care. There's not one team capable of catching the Bruins. They got an 11-point lead. And do you know how hard, even when you're just chasing one team, how hard it is to overcome an 11-point deficit, especially when the Bruins don't lose? The Bruins would have to like go on a 6-game losing streak, and teams behind them would just it's just not going to happen. I don't care if they're the New Jersey Devils, Vegas, Carolina, Toronto, whoever it may be, is not going on a winning streak. And it's just not going to happen. And David Pasternak is probably going to get 50 goals. I think he's going to be a 50-goal scorer this year. He's got 32 already, 58 points in 40 games. That man right now is on an absolute heater. All marks virtually unbeatable. I mean, there's not much else you could say about a team this locked in right now.
I completely agree. I think the Bruins are the best team in the NHL. I do think they're going to win the cup. I think they're about every 10 years the President's Trophy winner wins the cup.
It's a little scary though when a team's this good. You always get nervous. You always get nervous.
I know. And we had this conversation in private on Monday. But I honestly think this is the year I'm not nervous. I don't know why. It's just like a hunch I have. Like every 10 or so years, the President's Trophy winner does win the Stanley Cup. I know it's like the President's Trophy curse, blah, blah, blah. That's because 16 teams make the playoffs and you're relying on one to win the Stanley Cup. That's why the President's Trophy curse actually exists, because winning the Stanley Cup is incredibly hard. Still, no other seed in NHL history has won the Stanley Cup more than the 1 seed. Not a lot of people even know that because of all the hype around the President's Trophy curse, but the last team to do it was the 2012-13 Chicago Blackhawks. I believe before that it was Detroit in 2008. So roughly once or twice a decade a team does it. It's been a while since a team's done it. As of right now, Pasta and the Bruins are my pick to win the Stanley Cup. The reason for that is because I believe they have an all-star at every unit. They're close to having a Hall of Famer at every unit. I don't think they have a Hall of Fame goaltender, but they have a potential Hall of Fame defenseman. If McAvoy keeps this trajectory up, he could be a Hall of Famer. I think Pasternak is, on his way to competing with Matthews for being the best goal scorer of the 2010s or 2020s, excuse me. If Ovechkin ever retires, maybe he'll be in that mix too. But, the Bruins are on fire. Marchand's unbelievable. Taylor Hall's on the third line, right? Like they're so good that Taylor Hall, a Hart Trophy winner within the last 5 years, is on the third line. I think that speaks volumes about their forward depth.
They're
obviously.
very good.
Yeah, they're very good with defensemen like McAvoy and Lindholm and Carlo and Grzelcyk, all these guys. They're just very, very good. If I were them, they're the only team I've ever seen with this much of a lead for the President's Trophy that I would not make a move if I were them. I wouldn't change anything. If you want to add a 7th D to put on the bench, you know what I'm talking about? Like, in case someone gets hurt, because Carlo's been known to get hurt in the playoffs. You never know what happens with McAvoy or Lindholm when that time comes. If you want to add a 7th defenseman or something like that, but I'm not changing anything. If I'm, the Boston Bruins, Don Sweeney, Cam Neely, you keep that top line with DeBrusk, Pasternak, or DeBrusk, Bergeron, and Marchand. The perfection line is gone. You don't need that anymore. They call it the checkmate line because they're all checks now. Pavel Zacha with David Pastrnak and David Krejci. Zacha stinks, but he's catching lots of secondary assists playing with Krejci and Pastrnak. And then you got the third line with Coyle, Hall, and then their fourth line's pretty good as well. And then the defense is so good. I just think the world of the Bruins so far this year. I don't know if Joey Parise's watching this episode, just absolutely, moist in every part of his body right now listening to it. But the Bruins are that good this year. They smoked the Devils twice, and I think the Devils are a very good team. I think the Devils can get to the Bruins level over the next couple of years, but they're not there now.
Yeah, I mean, it's very tough. I don't see the Bruins the way I saw Colorado last year. What I saw in Colorado last year was something special that I was like, I guaranteed that the Colorado Avalanche were winning the cup. There was nothing that was going to stop them. That was a very special team. But right now, the Bruins are the best team in the NHL. And it's going to be very hard for another team to beat them in a best-of-7 series. So I completely agree with you. Right now, I could see them winning the cup. They're the favorite. They'd probably be my pick right now to win the cup. It's just, to me, it's a little scary. As always, no matter who it is, every year. If the Hawks were in first right now, I'd be a little worried because it's just, you got a lot of pressure on you. But this team looks different. This Boston Bruins team comes out every night, and whether they're playing back-to-back, they're either on a road trip, that California road trip. They just scored 7 against Anaheim, which Anaheim sucks. They're not a good team by any means, but they still were able to come out on a second of a back-to-back and pot 7 goals, which is just, this team feels a little bit different, almost similarly to the Colorado Avalanche last year. But then again, we're only halfway through the season, so I want to be a little cautious and see how the second half of the season finishes. But no doubt going to win the President's Trophy. And no doubt they're going to be one of those teams that are just near impossible to defeat. But if you're going to defeat them, you're going to have to give it everything you got.
I agree. They have a 9-point lead on the President. No, make that an 11-point lead on the President's Trophy. The Maple Leafs and Devils have a 33 and 32 goal differential respectively, and Dallas is up there with 35 as well. The Bruins are plus 68.
It's crazy.
They're double the second best.
I think 2 weeks ago when we were talking about the Bruins, I told you they were plus 50. They went up 18, plus 18 in the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
This is a different team. They're hungry right now.
They're on pace to have a record. If they win, do they play tonight? They do not play tonight. They play tomorrow against the Kraken. Watch the Kraken beat them.
I wouldn't be shocked.
No, I wouldn't be stunned.
Are competitive.
But let's pretend they beat the Kraken and become 33-4-4. That will finish the first half 33-4-4. That will mean they are on pace for a record of 66-8-8. Which I don't know if they don't ever get to 10 regulation losses. I would think they do. Only the Toronto Maple Leafs and Carolina Hurricanes are not in double-digit regulation losses. The Bruins don't even have double-digit losses, OT or regular. If
that's crazy.
If hockey records were like baseball, they would be 32-8.
And here's the thing when it comes to sports. I think everything evens out and levels out eventually, right? Devils win 13. Didn't think they were going to lose. They looked unbeatable. Then they lost 6 in a row. Things starting to even out a little bit. If you're shooting 80% from 3 in the first half of a basketball game, the chances are you're not going to come out in the second half and shoot 80%. It's just things tend to even out. And that's where I kind of feel about the Boston Bruins. By any means, I don't think they're going to end with 20 losses or whatever, regular season or regulation losses. That's not what I'm getting at here. I just don't think they're going to finish at that pace. And I know you kind of agree with me too, because you think they'll probably get to 10 regulation losses, you would assume. So I think I want to see how the second half goes for them. I think the second half will be a big telling. If they go and finish whatever 8 regulation losses or something, I'm like, all right, this is the Colorado of last year. They're guaranteed going to win the cup. It's just hard to perform that way in the first half, and even players performing in the first half, things tend to level off, in my opinion, when it comes to sports in the second half.
That's fair. I agree. I just think leveling off will still make them the best team in the
I
NHL.
agree. They could
Yeah,
level off and still have a 10-point lead for the President's Trophy.
absolutely, absolutely. When a team is dominant and they still lose a little bit, that's what happened to the Devils, right? Of those 6 losses,
Mm-hmm.
there's this thing in hockey called the deserve to win meter, and it measures like your shot efficiency and your shooting percentage and like all sorts of advanced statistics. And of their 6 losses on that 6-game losing streak, they only deserved to lose twice. And so, like a team like the Bruins, I think even the wins or their losses, they probably are pretty favorable on the deserve to win meter. But that doesn't matter in the playoffs because it doesn't matter if you deserve to win or not. You lose 4 times out of 7, you're out. See you next year, training camp. Have a nice summer, pal. So, but David Pastrnak, if I were the Bruins, I would have locked him up 3 years ago. Hopefully, they're able to get something done with him that doesn't completely destroy their salary cap. But
I think this will be the most interesting offseason for the Boston Bruins in our lifetime.
it's very possible.
There's
It
a
is.
lot of question marks, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
there are. And nobody will care about any of them if they're going down Causeway with the Stanley Cup in late June. Um, Frank, Lucas Reichel and the Chicago Blackhawks are on a little bit of a, I mean, for their standards, they're on a heater. And they played the Arizona Coyotes last Friday. And I texted you. You were there.
Yep.
It was Gamers Night. Happy Gamers Night. Um, I was like, Lucas Reichel, he got called up to in place of Patrick Kane. Him and Brett Seney making their, I don't know if it was either of their season debuts. I don't think it was their season debuts with the Hawks, but it was definitely like one of their early games of the NHL season. And I texted you. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
and Skoke says Lucas has arrived. Hell yeah, Lucas has arrived. I texted you while you were at the Coyotes game. This is his best game as a pro at either level. How many goals and assists did he have to show for it? 0. I was like, huh, that was weird. He didn't get a single point. The team, they're playing the Coyotes. The Coyotes fought the Hawks well. It was a battle of 2 teams that both stink. But here was Lucas Reichel just playing extremely well, away from the puck, creating time and space, good against the boards. Well, lo and behold, I write an article telling you that it is a for sure thing that his first career NHL goal is coming soon and that it very well might happen against Calgary. I'm at the game against Calgary Sunday night. About 3 minutes into the game, Lucas Reichel scored his first career NHL goal. He followed that up with 2 more assists, including setting up Max Domi's overtime game-winning goal, the OTGWG. Domi, second of the season, 12th goal of the season, second overtime winner of the season. And man, Lucas Reichel is here. He looks like a player who, if they did win the lottery to select a winger like Bedard, those two can, be put on a line with a centerman that, you know, is kind of a two-way centerman. I think it would be an outstanding line right away. And I just think the world of Lucas Reichel. If you're looking for some more information / highlights on Lucas Reichel, you can always go to thewindycity.com. And then I have a thread on Twitter of some highlights. I don't know if you saw my Lucas Reichel
Mm-hmm.
thread, but I really enjoyed putting that together. And, Lucas Reichel, as Skoke says, has arrived. What do you think?
I'm so glad that he just started performing this well in these past couple of games. He didn't have anything on the score sheet in the game we went to, but I still like the way he plays. I like the way he moves out there on the ice. 20-year-old Blackhawks prospect, one of their highest prospects before this season. And I think he's going to be able to help this Blackhawks team build up. I truly do. You get the right pieces for him and you build around him and potentially Bedard and Korchinski and Nazar. And I mean, we're talking about a potential very good build. And I've always been very high up on Lucas Reichel. I was jealous that you got to see his first NHL goal. I was hoping that he would score in the game I was at. They had 3 points in that game. And the only reason he was playing against the Coyotes and the Flames was because Patrick Kane went down with an injury. They brought Reichel up, but now Reichel's earned a full-time job with the Blackhawks. They announced that when Kane comes back, Reichel's not going down. He's going to be with the Hawks. So I love that decision. Let him play. You're not burning any years on his contract. You already did that last year. So just let him play, let him get NHL experience. I think the time is now, honestly. I think what we've seen, his performance in the past 2 games alone, and seeing the way this team plays without Patrick Kane, I think now is the time you keep him in the NHL and you let him you let him develop here. Um, I love what I see from him. I'm glad to have him on the team, and this is truly the start of the Lucas Reichel era in Chicago. I agree with Skokes. He's here.
I wish he didn't play 10 games last year. I think that was a terrible decision. He it did. I'll
I
stand
told
by
you they
that
were going to
forever.
burn his contract
Yeah, that was so dumb. Just completely stupid. Just an absolutely horrible decision. Because now they have one less year of control of him, and he's gonna make them pay. Which they'll be okay with it if he makes them pay, because that'll mean he's a really good player. But he didn't learn anything last year that he couldn't have.
No, yeah, it
It
was
was just a
stupid.
terrible decision, and he really was always, he was going to struggle at the beginning of this year too when he played in the NHL, and he did. And then he went back down to the AHL. Something clicked for him there, and now that he's back up in the NHL again, it's the way he's played away from the puck that I think has helped him with the puck. And when you have mitts like he does, and you go to the front of the net, you're going to have goals like he did his first career goal. And the best play he made was the goal that was scored by Philip Kurashev, and
Beautiful.
he got one of the best goalies in the world to freeze. And then when he made that pass to Kurashev, it was a wide open net. You would have scored it if you caught it on your stick. And
I love the
I,
way he plays. I really
yeah,
do.
he's a great player. If he plays with someone like Bedard, I think the sky's the limit for both of them. Keep losing, Blackhawks. Don't start winning now. You made it this far. But, I mean, Lucas Reichel, he is just really good. I'm happy he's there. Speaking of young players, Frank, Shane Wright
Hmm.
was very good at the World Junior Championships. He
Yep.
wasn't quite as dominant as I thought he was going to be, but he was still very good. And instead of bringing him back to the Seattle Kraken, they loaned him back to his CHL team. I believe he plays in the OHL,
Yep.
and he was traded
Yep.
in the OHL. And he returned and got traded right away in the OHL, and he'll be back with the Kraken soon enough. But I'm very excited about what's going on with Shane Wright. I think this is a smart move for him. Go play. He played well in the World Junior Championships. Go play really well down in the juniors for the rest of this season. You
Hmm.
got a little bit of NHL experience under your belt. You were one of 3 players on Team Canada with some NHL experience this season that really
That
helped
helps.
helped them win the gold. And I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. Listen, we saw what happened with Lucas Reichel. A lot of times we think that these guys who go in the top 5 are projected to be number 1, whatever it is. We think that they're just going to come to the NHL and dominate like McDavid and Matthews did right away. Jack Hughes had a brutal rookie season. Rasmus Dahlin, I think Dahlin might have been okay, but he wasn't like the Norris Trophy winning defenseman that he's projected out to be one day. It takes guys time. Like McDavid's a unicorn. We'll see if Bedard is a unicorn. But a lot of guys struggle when they first come in the league. Jack Hughes, I do believe he'll have a 110-point season in his career. He'll probably get to 100 this year or 95 this year. He stunk in his first year. He wasn't good away from the puck. He had like 30-something points. He wasn't valuable on the power play, and now he's one of the best players in the NHL. It takes time. Shane Wright is going to be a stud, in my opinion. He doesn't have the pressure of being the guy right now because Ben Years has been so good, and it took him a minute to really get going, and now we're seeing the fruits of their patience with him going back to Michigan and whatnot. I really think the world of Shane Wright and what he's going to be able to do with this Kraken squad.
Yep. You nailed it on the head. He was traded from Kingston to the Windsor Spitfires down in the OHL. I think this is a good move by the Seattle Kraken sending him down. They don't need him right now. He wasn't doing anything in the NHL. He needs to develop just a little bit more because this isn't a guy you want to bust on. He was a very high prospect in this year's draft, fell to 4 to the Kraken, and we know how talented he can be, but he's just not NHL ready. He's not there quite yet. So you're not going to see him in a Kraken uniform the rest of this year. He's going to finish the year with the OHL through June or whenever their season ends. I believe it's sometime in June. And they don't need him. They're doing fine right now. They hold a playoff spot without him. With you got Ben Years, he's clicking right now. He's your all-star. So just don't fix what's not broken. Let him develop, and then bring him into a Kraken team with I mean, if they make the playoffs with a little bit more experience, and if Shane Wright could really develop down in the OHL, and you keep some of these familiar faces on this Kraken team, and they've been doing what they're doing great, maybe next year they could really help. He could really help out this Kraken team, and they could really excel in the NHL and make the Kraken a force to reckon with, not only in the Pacific Division but in the Western Conference.
And Shane Wright isn't the only Team Canada stud that made his way back to junior. Connor Bedard plays in the QMJHL, which is one of the 3 leagues in the CHL. Frankie's with the Regina Pats. He returned to the league and had 4 goals and 2 assists in his first game back after having a 1.25 points per period number in the World Junior Championships. We're not talking points per game. We're talking about points per period. He had 1.25 points per period in the World Junior Championships. He comes back and gets 6 points in his first game with the Regina Pats. Frank, guy's a freaking monkey.
I read an article. I'm sure you're familiar with this man, Craig Button.
Oh, I love Craig Button. If I could get anybody to come on here and analyze a draft with me, it would be Craig Button. Maybe we'll find a way to make that happen.
For those who don't know who Craig Button is, he's TSN's director. And
really quick. I was high on Bowen Byram, and I thought the Blackhawks were straight up stupid for taking Kirby Dach over Bowen Byram.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the Rangers should have taken Bowen Byram. You could go back and find my tweets that suggest so. And they got Capo Caco. They should have taken freaking Bowen Byram. Everyone should have, except the Devils taking Hughes. It's because of the expert analysis that was fed to me by Craig Button. I just wanted to point that out and let you know how much I value his opinion.
I like Craig Button as well, but Bedard captures gold with the World Juniors Canadian team, and then I came across an article from Craig Button, right, talking about Connor Bedard, and this article really gave me the chills and sunk my heart inside my chest when I was reading it. He actually granted Connor Bedard generational status. He moved him up. I think he was exceptional status, and now he granted him generational status. And on part of that article, he had a list of 8 players that I'm going to read to you that Button's granted generational status in the past. These are his generational players, and they are Bobby Orr, Guy Lafleur, Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, Jaromir Jagr, Eric Lindros, Alex Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby, and Connor McDavid. And now Connor Bedard is part of that list of the generational status players, which is is this really what we're going to get? Is this about to happen? We're going to have a man like this come into the league? Because the last person to get generational status was 8 years ago with Connor McDavid. And now you're talking about Connor Bedard and having this same status as the men I just named, and the Blackhawks having a very good chance, maybe the best chance of potentially getting a guy like this. It gave me chills. It sunk my heart inside my chest, made me feel a different way, because this may become a reality. I think he's waiting in the oven to come out for the Hawks. He's baking right now, getting all nice and juicy down in the KMJHL. Did it in the World Juniors, and I think it's going to be destiny. I'm calling it now. The Blackhawks are going to win the draft lottery and get Bedard. It's going to happen more and more every day. It just feels like it.
Read that list to me again. The players:
Bobby Orr, Guy Lafleur, Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, Jaromir Jagr, Eric Lindros, Alex Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby, and Connor McDavid.
Okay, the only ones that aren't in the Hall of Fame yet are Jagr, Crosby, Ovechkin, and McDavid, and that's because they're all still playing.
And they will be.
Jagger's not eligible yet. I think it's not just retiring from the NHL. It's like retiring from hockey. It's the Hockey Hall of Fame, not the NHL Hall of Fame. So Jagr will probably be in soon. And McDavid, yeah, Skokes, he's hyping me up right now too, because I'm about to make a point here that I think will hype both of you up even more.
I'm glad, Skokes. I'm glad.
Yeah, I'm glad too. Let's get hype. I want him in Chicago too, and I think I'm going to hype both of you up even more by saying this. McDavid, if he retired today, I do think would be in the NHL. Or in the Hall of Fame. He's got 800 points and 400 games played, or 500 games played. He's an absolute superstar too. And we know about Crosby and Ovechkin. Ovechkin's going to break the goal record. Crosby will probably be second all time in points. So Jagr's currently second all time in points. Lindros, Gretzky, Lemieux, or Guy Lafleur. Those are some of the best players ever. Ever. Talking that way about Connor Bedard is Craig Button, whose opinion I value very hard. But you know what's more impressive to me than the players who are on that list? The players who aren't on that list that are fucking sick that you can win Stanley Cups with. I didn't hear Steven Stamkos' name, closing in on 500 goals. I didn't hear Evgeny Malkin's name. I didn't hear Patrick Kane's name. I didn't hear Austin Matthews' name. I didn't hear Jack Hughes' name. I didn't hear Nathan McKinnon's name. Patrice Bergeron. All
Pasternak.
these players, Pasternak, all these players who are probably going to go to the Hall of Fame and be some of the best players in their team's history. And Mr. Craig Button is telling me that Connor Bedard is going to be just as good, if not better, than all of them by his projection. And listen, all these things that we're saying about Connor Bedard, no prospect is a lock, right? We don't know what's going on in between the ears. We don't know about injuries. We don't know about. But if there's as close to a lock as you can get with a prospect, it's Connor freaking Bedard. If he stunk, he'd be the biggest bust in NHL history. In my opinion, the biggest bust in NHL history is Nail Yakupov.
I know Yakupov. I remember him.
Yakupov had a pretty good rookie year, though. Lafreniere's in danger because when he was with the Rimouski Oceanic, he was absolutely unbelievable. But he wasn't like Bedard. Like, he didn't dominate the World Juniors the same. Eberle dominated World Juniors, but he didn't have nearly the points. He had similar goals. And Eberle turned out to be a great NHL player. We'd all sign up for Eberle's career. You know, he was like the 22nd overall pick. I think the World Juniors he dominated in the goal scoring department, and that made him like a World Junior legend. But like, he still went 22nd instead of first for a reason. I just think the world of Connor Bedard, and it would not shock me if that becomes true. I mean, having 6 points in your return after having a point per period, 2 points per period in his return to the Pats. I mean, holy shit. What were you going to say?
I was gonna say you don't grant somebody like Craig Button did generational status and he turned out to be a bust. I think it's impossible. I don't think he has the chance to be a bust. I really don't. The last time Button's done this was with McDavid. I mean, he doesn't do this too often. It's been 8 years, VP, since somebody's been granted this generational status. So it's very rare for something like this to happen. So being a bust is like near impossible, I would say.
I wonder why he didn't give it to Matthews.
I don't know.
Because I do think Matthews is a generational player. Like,
I don't know.
60 goals in his fifth year. Like, he's on pace, like, with Ovechkin up to their career ages. I think Matthews is up there. And Jack Hughes, Rasmus Dahlin, Nico Hischier, all great players. Not generational, though. Like, superstars.
That's why
Superstars.
getting this title is huge.
Yes, I would say so. Tom says Alexander Daigle ranks up there as all-time busts. I might have to do a little more research on that.
I don't know who that is.
It sounds interesting. Frank, speaking of generational talents, I don't know if Bedard can be as good as Connor McDavid because he's a little bit smaller. He's not as fast. Nobody's as fast with the puck. But McDavid has a 15-point lead on the scoring title over his teammate Leon Draisaitl, who they probably have helped each other. Of course, Draisaitl's probably scored a lot of goals that McDavid set up and vice versa. Kucherov is in third place with 59 points. He's right back to being the pre-injured Kucherov, one of the best players in the NHL, no doubt about it. But Connor McDavid, man, he's been so good. And the Edmonton Oilers are barely clinging on to that final wild card spot. The St. Louis Blues, with an overtime win last night, scored by Robert Thomas, tied them in points, 45, but they still are below the playoff line, and Edmonton is right above it. If Edmonton doesn't make the playoffs and McDavid has like 130 points, I think they have to consider anything with their organization around him. They have to consider trading Draisaitl for help in other areas. They have to consider firing the coach or the GM or literally anyone if that were to happen, I think you could be looking at one of the most wasted seasons in the history of the NHL. What is your take on McJesus and the Oilers?
He's got. I mean, could be the year he gets 50 goals. I know you talked about it. If he wants it, he could go out and get it. He's 16 shy of that. He's got 34 goals. He's on pace for 154 points, which that would just be unheard of. Um, Something I've never seen in my lifetime. But I don't know. I mean, as far as the playoffs go, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to hold on to that last spot. The reason being, you got Nashville and Colorado who are one game behind them for that final wild card spot, but they each have 3 games in hand on them. That's tough. And these are teams that could snap out of it and go on runs at any moment. And it's just the Oilers they have nothing going for them right now. It's just really it sucks if you're an Oilers fan. I mean, you get to watch McDavid and Draisaitl every night, but not making the playoffs, I agree with you, is that's like a wasted season. Um, Something needs to change in this organization. They should be better in the standings than they are. And maybe they will. Maybe eventually something will change. But I agree with you. If they miss the playoffs, something needs to change next year, and it needs to change fast.
Yep, I completely agree. And there's another team in Canada, in West Canada, that is just in major doo-doo, and that is the Vancouver Canucks coming into this season with a little bit of expectations. They were a bubble team as far as I was concerned. I had them barely missing the postseason. They're one of the worst teams in the league. Connor Bedard's hometown team is one of the worst teams in the league at 17, 20, and 3. There is actual evidence that Connor Bedard is a Vancouver Canucks fan. So you have to wonder, like, do they make moves, try and win the draft lottery, get themselves down into that lower area? Well, last night, they had a 3-0 lead over the Pittsburgh Penguins. My guy, Quentin Hughes, scored to make it 3-0. And before the first period was over, a goal by Evgeny Malkin, a goal by Sidney Crosby, and a goal by Jason Zucker had the game tied at 3 after the first period. And then a goal by Evgeny Malkin put them ahead 4-3.
Yep.
And then a goal by Ricard Raquel, assisted by Evgeny Malkin, made it 5-3. And then Travis Dermott got one in the later stages of the third period to get them within 1, but it wasn't good enough. The Penguins rallied and won the game. Frank, what does this tell you about the Vancouver Canucks right now?
Well, I mean, the Vancouver Canucks, that's tough. That's a tough loss to swallow, but I think more of the credit needs to be given to the Penguins, that Crosby but mostly Malkin took over that game with 2 goals and 2 assists. I mean, yeah, the Vancouver Canucks, they're not going anywhere. They're not that good. There's really not much to say about them. I think in terms of the Penguins, though, like this win, if they make the playoffs, remember this night that they came back and they won this game. It's a big 2 points at a team you should beat. So, I don't. As far as the Canucks go, like I said, I really have nothing to say about them. They're kind of boring to watch. I'm not a fan of them. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they have one of the best jersey catalogs in the NHL, in my opinion. I think Vancouver.
Think so?
Oh, yeah. I think Vancouver is sharp looking pretty much every single night. All their alternates are sick. They have the best. They have my favorite reverse retro. In fact, the reverse retro is my phone background.
Oh, yeah.
It's been basically since they announced it, too. I love what they wear, but I don't love what they put on the ice. It's time to bring Quentin Hughes home. Time to bring him home.
You like that, huh?
I would like that, but it's an interesting situation. If the Penguins make the playoffs, though, this could be the type of game that you look back and say, hey, that started a little bit of a rally. They lost. They blew the Winter Classic, but they had that game against the Vancouver Canucks where they were down 3-0, and instead of giving it up, Crosby and Malkin put the team on their back, as they have for the better part of 2 decades now, and we'll see what happens going forward into the rest of the season. But Frank, I don't normally bring up like individual games to talk on the show because like a whole week goes by in between podcasts. I did feel like that was one worth noting on the show, though. But I do got to ask you, what is your favorite hockey story of the week?
this was hilarious. I think it was yesterday. What game was it though? I don't even remember what game it was. But Skarsgård, the actor Skarsgård, Ryan Reynolds, and Lundqvist were all attending the hockey game. And I think, was it a Rangers game?
Yep.
It was the Rangers game. I figured, right? Because like
Against the
Lundqvist is
Wild.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they showed the three on the kiss cam, and Skarsgård and Reynolds kissed Lundqvist on each cheek, and it was just, to me, the funniest thing um, to happen, because normally celebrities like that don't usually make it on the kiss cam. So it was like, oh yeah, that's kind of funny. Put them on the kiss cam, see what happens. And they lived up to the hype. And those three guys got that personality that would do something like that. Not every actress or actor would do something like that, but it was really funny. I also want to give a shout out to Ben Years scoring in his fifth straight game, because he's been absolutely sensational. And I said this earlier, but we picked him to be Rookie of the Year. So I'm I like what I'm seeing from him so far too. It's like my honorable mention.
Yeah, for sure. So my favorite hockey story of the week, we had a game today between the USA and Canada in the Women's World Championships. And I love the women's leagues. I do follow the pro league that they have, the PHF, and we had Dan Rice on to talk about it a couple weeks ago. You might remember. We're going to have
Mm-hmm.
him back on to update
Yep.
us on all that. But Team Canada did find a way to beat Team USA today 3-1. And, we saw Hillary Knight inside the glass yesterday in the game. I want to say, was it the game between the New York Rangers, or no, it was the New Jersey Devils and the Carolina Hurricane. She was in Newark doing inside the glass, and I just love helping grow the game for the women and helping little girls, go on to play hockey. I think that's extremely important. It's a great game for everyone to be a part of, and Team USA and Team Canada had a nice little tilt today. I'm interested to see who's able to come out as the champions of this World Championship League, but we will be following women's hockey all season long on this podcast, and
I'm
I
glad
love.
I'm glad you said that, because I look forward to when the women play, the women's hockey play, when it's USA, Canada, and women, or they have their tournaments on TV. I focus in and I watch it, just like I watched the World Juniors when Canada and USA played. I do the same thing when it comes to the women. Just because they're women doesn't mean I'm not going to watch it. I look forward to it. I love Hillary Knight, Amanda Kessel. I mean, I love this team. It's a really special team, and in my opinion, they're just as entertaining as the men's. And there's just something about them that I look forward to. But why does it always seem like it's USA Canada all the time? It's like, I think the networks and media blow it up a little more when it's USA versus Canada.
Sweden, Finland, and Russia, and Czechia, and the Swiss, they haven't caught up to Canada and the U.S. in the women's game. They just haven't. So, hopefully they do. I would like to see them do that, so that the way the Olympics could be a little more than that. But I agree, when the Team USA plays against Team Canada in the Olympics, it's more entertaining than the men.
I would think about getting a women's jersey,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
like a Hillary Knight USA jersey. That'd be sick.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And Megan Duggan works with the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah,
And now I'm drawing a blank on her name, that works with the Blackhawks now.
Amanda, or is it Amanda? No,
No, it's not Amanda Kessel. She's
I could
associated with the
picture her.
Minnesota Wild.
I could picture her right now.
Um,
She's blonde, right?
yeah. Schofield. Kendall Coyne Schofield. Her husband was on the Bears for a lot of part of this season, and he was a starter on the Chargers, a good player for the Chargers for a long time before that. But, I love these teams and wanted to give a shout out to them. My favorite hockey story of the week. Frank, it is time that we move on to foosball and amongst other things in period number 3. Frank, the college football national championship absolutely fucking sucked ass. It was one of the worst football games I've ever sat through. You didn't think 65-7. I don't care.
No, but I told you it was going to be probably the biggest blowout.
Okay, but
And that was.
This was actually the biggest blowout in the history of college football bowl games. I almost said blow games, because this was a blow game. It was a blowout. It wasn't even fun. There was one moment that was fun. Georgia went up 10-0, and then TCU scored a touchdown to make it 10-7. I'm thinking, all right. Georgia's probably going to win, but we got a game. And then they scored fucking 55 unanswered points and just a disgusting, disgusting football game. Frank, what do you got to say about it?
I don't care what you said. I told you it was going to be a blowout, and I said it
I
might
didn't
be
say you
one
didn't
of the.
say it was going to be
And,
a blowout.
I said it might be one of the biggest blowouts, and sure as shit, biggest margin of victory in a bowl game ever was the headline. And it's just unbelievable, 65-7. Georgia's defense is so good, and people are like, "Well, Ohio State scored 40-something points against them." Okay, Ohio State's offense is on a different level than TCU's offense. They're completely two different teams. I wasn't taking that into consideration. I also said if there was a team that could beat Georgia in this playoff, it would be Ohio State, and they gave them a run for their money. So I'm not surprised that Georgia stomped on them. I am surprised, though, like you said, it is 65-7. I didn't expect it to be like that, but I did expect at least a 3-score, 2-score game to happen for sure. I didn't give TCU a chance in this game. It was probably the most boring national championship we'll watch, that we have watched and maybe will watch in the next decade or so. I don't know when they expand how that'll go, because you always have the option of with so many teams, and the same thing happens in March Madness when you have a lot of teams, is an 8 seed or a 12 seed may make it. You never know. They could make it to the national championship. And if they were to go against the top team, they could get blown out, but I don't think it'll be like this. This was it didn't have the same feel as when we were watching it last year. Remember, we watched Alabama, Georgia right here on that TV in the back, and it was this is an incredible game. We were our jaws was hitting the floor. We didn't have that this year, which kind of sucks because everybody looks forward to the national championship. It's the Super Bowl of college sport or college football. But I enjoyed my time because we were spending it with you guys, though, so it was a lot of fun there. So
Yeah,
regardless, I
absolutely.
had a good time. So
Skylar said the game itself was an argument for the expansion of the playoffs. I actually agree because someone would have taken care of TCU long before
yeah.
they got to the national championship. And TCU deserved to be in. I'm not poo-pooing that. There were people automatically tweeting about how Alabama should have been in over them. Well, Alabama shouldn't have lost 2 games then.
Yep. No, you
Like
nailed it on the head.
the college football playoff is
I
never
agree
the
with you.
4 best teams. It's the 4 most deserving teams.
Yeah.
There's a difference. If it were the 4 best teams, it probably would have been freaking Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, Ole Miss, or Tennessee, or USC. The best rosters. That's not how it goes. It's the most deserving teams. Is there a team that missed the playoffs this year that is better than somebody who made the playoffs this year? Probably in every sport. In every sport. If you make it by a game or something, were the Brewers better than the Phillies? Well, the Phillies went all the way to the Super Bowl, or to the World Series. So
I
this
think
is
Alabama was better.
yes, they were. There's no doubt they were.
They would have gave Georgia more of a run for their money, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
How about David Pollock sitting up there talking about how Georgia has taken over has taken over as the best program in college football, and Nick Saban staring at him like, you fucking motherfucker. How dare you say that to me?
I also thought go ahead.
I was just gonna say I was like, I thought that was hilarious.
I thought I heard somebody say did Kirby Smart say oh, we won after everybody doubted us? And nobody doubted you.
Yeah.
Everybody literally expected you to win.
They might have doubted you last year in the national championship against Bama.
Nobody doubted you.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a stupid remark, and people were complaining about it on social media. I'm
yeah,
I don't know.
People are dumb. Kirby Smart is smart with football, but dumb with what he says after games. Frank, during the college football playoff game, the best part of the game,
Oh yeah,
was the Ant-Man Quantumania trailer. Your reactions?
Oh, VP, my reaction. I probably have watched this trailer 9 or 10 times since then, maybe more. I'm not gonna lie. I'm so hyped. This movie's gonna be so freaking good, and it gave me everything I wanted and more. Yeah, it wasn't the full trailer you saw on TV. I had to go watch. So if you should watch it again, because there are things that you didn't see, aka Modoc, like I said they would. I predicted that online, and you see that in the full trailer online. Great trailer. Kang looks absolutely amazing. Jonathan Majors, great actor. I think he's the perfect actor to play Kang, and it's just he's gonna freaking mow down as many people in this movie as possible. I think we're gonna get some, off with their heads in this movie. Originally, I thought maybe Scott Lang might bite the dust. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. He might not, but there will be some deaths in this movie that hit the heartstrings a little bit. I'm excited for it. I hope you're as excited as I am. It's going to be a really fun movie.
I completely agree. I can't wait to watch it. I got a couple more things to catch up on before it comes out, but I'm very much looking forward to it. I thought the trailer was the best part of the college football national championship, and it's just so
Yeah.
stinky how it was such a bad game because it came after two instant classics
Yep.
in the first round. The first round of the college football playoffs.
Mhm.
So that sucks, but it is what it is. Frank, I don't expect the NFL playoffs to be that bad, though. We have the wild card weekend coming up this week, and you're going to have on Saturday the Seattle Seahawks are going to play the San Francisco 49ers, and the Los Angeles Chargers are going to play the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then on Sunday, the Buffalo Bills are going to host the
My pick.
Miami Dolphins, and
Win the Super
the New York Football Giants are going to take on the New York Football Giants are going to take on. I'm drawing a blank on who the New York Football Giants are going to take
They're
on.
going to take on the
Oh,
Vikings.
Minnesota Vikings. I had that and
Sorry
I
about
lost
that,
it.
VP.
No, I had that and I lost it. The
I have
Vikings.
them all written down here.
The Vikings were the first team I thought of, but I said the Giants first, and that threw me off my game. I said the Giants first because they're on the road, and then that game will be capped off at night by the Baltimore Ravens visiting the Cincinnati Bengals, and then
That
on
game.
Monday night football, the Dallas Cowboys, who haven't won a road playoff game since 1992, are going to go down to Western Florida and face off against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady in his career has won 35 playoff games. Dak Prescott has won one.
I don't even think they've ever beat him.
No, I don't think they have. And listen, Dak, and I want to lead off with this game. Dak, 1 playoff win. Tom, 35 playoff wins. Cowboys have been better than those Buccaneers this season. It hasn't even really been close. And Dallas is only a 3-point favorite.
I think they're frauds.
They are frauds. They might beat the Bucks, but I still think they're frauds.
No.
I'm going to pick the Bucks, but the Bucks are under 500. They gave away that last game of the season. They could have won. Tom was out after the first quarter. They could have beaten them in the final week of the season, Atlanta, if they wanted to be 9-8, but they chose to rest everyone and be ready for the postseason. They did. That game was meaningless. They were the 4 seed no matter what. If roles were reversed, if records were reversed, the Buccaneers would be a 7-point favorite over Dallas, and they're barely an underdog. I can't believe it.
Now, I'm not high on the Bucks by any means. I think they're going to get steamrolled after this victory, but this Dallas Cowboys team to me is a fraud. They looked like it against the Commanders. Sam Howell, great college quarterback, but he was dissecting this Cowboys team in a game they needed to win. They were still in contention if they won and, other teams lost. And you came out flat in a game like that. This just has the writing on the wall that the Buccaneers are going to wipe the floor with them. And I don't care what the line is. I don't care if the Cowboys were 10. I think the Bucs are going to win this game. It's just, no, give me the Buccaneers for sure. 100%. I'd be stunned, honestly. This is just typical Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys choking in a big game.
They'll fire McCarthy if they lose.
Yeah, they're going to lose.
I know you're not going to because you're Frankie and you stick to your guns no matter what, even if things happen that start to really, make it look like you're going to be wrong. If the Bucs win, whoever they play in the following week is going to be pissed. They are, because that'll be 36 playoff wins for Tampa Bay's Tom Brady. I know I wouldn't want to if they have to play. If the Eagles could lose to the Buccaneers, dude. I
Bucks are
don't care.
cooked.
I don't care what anybody says.
They're
The
so cooked.
Buccaneers, the Buccaneers are going to the freaking NFC Championship game, and they're going to probably lose to the San Francisco 49ers, who are my pick to win the NFC. But if they play like the Vikings or the Giants, like they're going to lose to them. Tom, we've all seen this movie before. I warn everyone every January: don't lose your faith in Tom. It took a 30-second drive to beat Tom last year in the AFC Championship game. Matthew Stafford had to freaking pull a rabbit out of his booty hole in order to get that win last year to go to the Super Bowl, and they ended up winning it. So that tells you
They're
what
all frauds.
the Bucks would have done if they made it to the Super Bowl against the Bengals. I mean, Tom Brady is the GOAT. You don't want to play him in the playoffs. I feel bad for people that overlook them. It's going to be a hilarious postseason once again watching Tom Brady go through. This time he's a true underdog going in. We've all seen this movie before. It's going to be a wonderful ninth screening of it once again. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I think they're going to make a lot of people lose a lot of money over the next couple weeks, and it's going to be really, really funny. I can't wait for it. Another game, Frank, I don't know if there's one specific you wanted to talk about. Another way to make some money is to bet against, I could say it now because I was right. They won the division. They were the best team in the NFC North. I don't have to pretend to be backing them anymore. The biggest frauds in the NFL are the Minnesota Vikings. I did not think they'd win 13 games or whatever it is that they won. I did think the only reason I thought they were going to win the NFC North was because I thought the Packers were going to stink. Lo and behold, they did. That was a prediction I can, be proud of. But they're going to lose to the New York Football Giants this weekend. I wholeheartedly think so.
I don't know.
I
That's close.
wholeheartedly think so.
They're frauds too. The Giants.
Are they as big of frauds as...
I think every NFC team is except the 49ers, to be honest with you.
So do I. But I don't know. I got the
It's
Giants.
different because the AFC, completely different. I don't know in that game, to be honest with you. I think weirdly enough, the Viking hater here is going to back the Vikings. I think the Vikings may beat the Giants just because it's a home game for the Vikings. I'll give them the advantage. It should be very interesting. The Ravens-Bengals, to me, that's like a silver platter of greatness. Hence why it's going to be the Sunday night football game. Of course, you're going to have Bengals Ravens on Sunday night football. That's one of the greatest games of this postseason, huh?
I just wish Lamar was playing.
I don't think he's going to, right?
He's not.
Oh, he's not? That would make it even greater, but you bill it as the Bengals Ravens. That's just a great, like,
back-to-back weeks of playing each other. How often do we see that in football?
Very rare. I think the Bengals should win, obviously. Might be a little closer, though, because it is a playoff game, different feel. Harbaugh's got, he knows how to coach. Or Harbaugh. Yeah, Harbaugh.
Yeah, Harbaugh.
I don't know why I was drawing a blank. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Dolphins and Bills, is Tua playing?
No.
I was going to say the line suggests he's not playing. The Bills
They're
are
starting
like
a rookie.
Yeah, no, Bills, they're going to cook the Dolphins. I think so. I think a lot of these matchups are going to be pretty bad, except the Chargers-Jaguars. I like that. I think that I'd love to see the Jaguars win. I really would.
I would like to see the Jaguars win Saturday night against the Chargers. I'm not confident.
I don't know.
I do think Williams not playing. It's Williams, right?
Mhm.
He's not playing, and that I think could work in the favor of the Jaguars. Listen, we need some Doug Peterson magic, some Trevor Lawrence magic. They're the favorite to land DeAndre Hopkins in the offseason, according to FanDuel. But I just, I don't know.
Not living up to the same hype as the Bengals did last year. They got a similar feeling, though, to me, as the Bengals did last year. Bengals going to the playoffs. They haven't won a playoff game in how many years since text messaging was invented. And like they did, and they made a run to the Super Bowl. And now, by any means, I don't think the Jaguars are going to make a run to a Super Bowl, but it's got that same feeling that like a lot of people are doubting them because of their lack of playoff appearances lately and how bad they've been. And that was similarly with the Bengals. Now, Joe Burrow is obviously and the whole team is more talented than the Jaguars are and Trevor Lawrence. But I think Trevor Lawrence is a great quarterback, and he could definitely turn this game in the Jaguars' favor. I truly believe that.
I believe it too. The Jaguars have a lot better playoff history recently than the Bengals outside of last year. The
Mhm.
Jaguars were in the AFC Championship game and had a second half lead over Tom Brady and the New England Patriots in the 2017-18 season. And the boat, Blake Bortles, the best of all time, that's his nickname. Um, I just I remember that game and I was worried about the Jaguars that year. I cover the Jaguars now, but I'm not rooting for them over Tom by any means ever. Um, but now go Jaguars against the Chargers, and they gave them like one of the two primetime or one of the three primetime
Yeah,
games this weekend.
that's nice.
They view that as probably the second biggest game, probably the third biggest. I would say they probably rank it Sunday night, Monday night, Saturday night, but because Monday Night Football, Dallas Cowboys, like
Hmm.
that's probably second to Bengals Ravens.
Hmm.
Even though I think personally, I think the Bengals are going to shit on the Ravens.
If Lamar was playing, that game, be so good.
No, if Lamar was playing, it's a different story.
That
I've
game
always
be
been on
so
the
good.
Lamar train. Lamar's a top 6 quarterback. I probably would put him at 6. MVP caliber player. Without him, the Ravens, yeah, fine. They're good. They're pretty good.
They couldn't even beat the Steelers.
Yeah, well, the Steelers, they did their job in the final week of the season.
Yep.
But, the Dolphins had a weird win over the Jets, and that put them in the postseason. The Steelers were close, though. Tomlin over 500 again.
Yep. How
Um,
many is that in a row now?
I believe it's like 15,
I don't think
11.
he's never had a losing season.
No. He went 8-8 one year, I think, and that's why they can't say he's only ever had winning seasons, but it's mostly been winning in Pittsburgh
It's crazy.
since Mike Tomlin's come to town. Like people who want to
Even
fire
without
him, that
them.
cracks me up.
No, they can't. I love Mike Tomlin. He's one of my.
Yeah.
He's probably my favorite coach in the league, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. And Pete Carroll Seahawks never missed the playoffs twice in a row. They snuck in by virtue of winning their final game of the season.
Gino was hot. He was
Gino was
hot. He kind of faltered second half. He was hot early on, weren't they? Like 6-0.
Yeah.
And then
I have a big 5. The Bengals, Chiefs, Bills, Eagles, 49ers. If one of those 5 teams were to get stunned by an opponent in their first game, it would be the 49ers.
you
Even though
think
I think the 49ers are the best team in the NFC.
out of all the stuns, you would choose.
The only reason is because I think it's impossible for the Bills to lose to the Dolphins.
Uh huh.
I think it's impossible for the Bengals to lose to a Lamarless Ravens, or the
I
Bengals
guess
to
the
lose
other
to a
two are on
Lamar,
the bye.
and the other 2 are on the
Yeah,
bye.
yeah. So you're right. I guess.
So and the Seahawks 49ers is a wonderful rivalry. I can't wait. 3:30 Saturday. Let's go. Literally can't wait. And the biggest rivalry on the West Coast, probably playing each other in the first round. And Pete Carroll and Kyle Shanahan is an outstanding postseason coaching matchup. I just listen. I think the 49ers are going to win. I think they're going to win by multiple scores. I just wouldn't take them lightly if I were Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers.
Which
But
Brock Purdy, he's been fantastic lately too.
he's been Purdy. There's no doubt about it. But
Yep.
how far can like a rookie quarterback? A rookie quarterback has never in the history of the NFL gotten to the Super Bowl.
Wow.
They've never led their team to the Super Bowl in the history of the
Oh,
NFL.
what are they basing that on? Do they have to like start the whole season, or you just what if you like played them the game before?
I don't know because I don't know how Tom Brady would qualify in 01. He must have backed up Bledsoe and not been considered a rookie. I know Mitch certainly wasn't considered a rookie when if they would have made it to the Super Bowl that year, the double doink year. I don't think he would have counted because he was the Mike Glennon's backup the year before.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Fields wasn't a rookie this year. A lot of times quarterbacks, it's very rare. Quarterback plays like a whole season as a rookie. Who did that? Joe Burrow, and he got hurt in week 11, missed the rest
Trevor
of that
Lawrence
season.
did, didn't he?
Trevor Lawrence did. It's very Mac Jones.
Did
Mac Jones
Deshaun
did.
Watson when he played?
Deshaun Watson totally
Yeah.
did when he played. You're right. Baker, yeah.
Did he? I'm pretty sure Baker did.
All these guys either stunk or, got bounced pretty early if they made it to the postseason. So
That'd be something.
We'll see what happens with Brock Purdy and the
My
San
pick to go to the
Francisco
Super Bowl
49ers.
as well.
They
Against
are
the
mine
Bills.
too. They are mine too. I think going into the playoffs, if you want to make picks for the Super Bowl, like we'll make picks every
Oh
week.
yeah.
But my early Super Bowl pick is definitely I think the Chiefs are going to play the 49ers in a Super Bowl rematch of 2 years ago.
I'm going Bills 49ers.
Okay. Do you want to pick each game really quickly? I'll do it quickly.
All right, go ahead.
I think on Saturday, the 49ers are going to beat the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
The Chargers are going to beat the Jaguars. Then on Sunday, I think the Bills are going to beat the Dolphins by 55.
65-7.
65-7, just like that disgusting national championship game. The best part about it was the Ant-Man trailer. The middle game, I think the New York Football Giants are going to upset the Minnesota Vikings. And at night, I think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to beat the Baltimore Ravens. I would probably flip a coin if Lamar Jackson was playing. I do think highly of the Ravens when he's playing, but I think the world of Joe Burrow, so I still probably would end up leaning Bengals. And then Monday night, I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to upset the Dallas Cowboys.
I'm going with all the home teams.
Wow.
49ers, Jaguars, Bills, Vikings, Bengals, Bucks.
So
And that's not all the favorites.
No, it's not all the
Bucks,
favorites.
but I'm going all the home teams.
So we only disagreed on 2.
We disagreed on the Giants game and the Chargers game, right?
Yeah.
You
Listen.
think Chargers Giants, right?
Yeah.
Are the Jags a favorite or what?
I think they're dogs.
I gotta look this up really quick.
I think the Jags are dogs. Or as my guy McAfee would say, dogs. I don't know. I want the Jags to win.
I do too.
The more
Jaguars
content
are
I get
dogs.
out of their season, the better.
Yep.
What?
Jaguars are dogs, so I'm going with the 2 dogs. I'm going to all the home teams. I think they're gonna win.
Yeah, I think I picked 2 dogs too, the Giants and the Bucks.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there, but that's the NFL. Frank, a little LOL coming out of the MLB.
Yeah.
Carlos Correa signed with his third team. Third time's the charm. It actually got done. The physical is passed. The team announced it.
It's hilarious. It's like
Skylar says, actually,
every
Vinny, the
week.
Jags are cats, not dogs. I actually think that's pretty funny.
That is pretty funny. The fact that he thought of it.
Yeah.
That quick.
Yeah, so he's going. Yeah, you're lagging a little bit. Are you good,
You're lagging too on my own.
Frank?
Hello?
Yeah, so I wonder who's actually lagging because to me it's you, and to you it's me.
This
But
damn technology
I
has
will
got us
say
by
that
the
Carlos
balls.
Correa playing in the Minnesota Twins is kind of annoying. Having some technical difficulties here again with Frankie. I don't know if Frankie's here or not, but I am.
I'm here.
It seems to me
Everything's
here?
lagging. Yeah, everything's lagging. You're
Oh,
lagging.
I think
You're on
we're
delay.
back.
You're on delay though.
Yeah, it shows you on delay for me too. Skylar says he sees both of us, but as you say, technology has us by the balls. What I was saying was Carlos Correa, Minnesota Twins. That sucks. That honestly sucks so bad. He's coming back to play with the Twins. I got to deal with him in the AL Central again. It would have been nice having him over in the Mets, but Skylar says, "What's going on with this dude? He got the buzzer implanted in his leg or something." Something's wrong with his ankle that the Giants and the Mets didn't love seeing, but he ended up signing with the Vikings. He passed the physical with them. They do have issues with his ankle, but they're willing to look past it. He lost 115 million throughout this whole process. It was a $350 million contract with the Giants, and now it's all the way down to like 230 with the with the Twins. So he's coming back to the Midwest. He'll play with the Vikings wearing their sick new uniforms that they have. I think that's the second time I've done that. The Twins are one of the better dressed teams in the American League now. But yeah, we will get to all that tomorrow on Crosstown Crosstalk at 2 p.m. Very much looking forward to that. Plenty of Carlos Correa chatter. I'm hoping to have a Minnesota Twins expert on to speak about it with me. But Frank, what are you watching this weekend?
We started this show. It just aired called Special Forces World's Toughest Test. It's a Fox show. I believe it's on Fox. And it's a very interesting show, taking 16 celebrities, which Vin, you would be well aware of a few of them: Mike Piazza, Dwight Howard, and a whole bunch of other Mel B, other celebrities who are taking part of this, and it's a 10-day challenge, type of reality show type thing, where they're like basically in the military competing in like military challenges, and like these military guys are treating them just as if they were joining the military. They're just because they're celebrity, there's no hold barred. So it's a very interesting show, and it like makes you appreciative of what the military does for your country. And it's a very good show, and I recommend anybody to watch it if they haven't gotten to watching it already. But Skylar says, "Oh, I've been wanting to see that show." Yeah, it's a fantastic show. Truly, it's like they put these guys through some shit, and it's like, wow. So that was very interesting. We just watched the season premiere. It just happened. Premiered 2 hours. It's been a lot of fun though. I really enjoyed that show. So instead of saying like the chalk answers, I thought I'd throw something new that I've been watching.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I finished Wednesday. Wednesday was unbelievable. I actually really, really liked Wednesday. Um, and then I watched Kaleidoscope, the show that you are supposed to watch in any order. You're supposed to randomly pick your episodes as long as white is the last episode that you watch. I think the show's phenomenal, and everybody gets a different experience out of the show because you're supposed to watch it in a completely random order. Netflix randomizes it for you. I took their random order and randomized it even more myself and went in multiple different orders myself. I wrote down the orders in which I watched it, and I'll tell you what, it's a really, really good show. Your interpretation of certain characters will be different than my interpretation of different characters because of the orders that we watched it. I highly recommend it. It's 1 or 2 on Netflix right now. I think that Georgia show passed Kaleidoscope in the #1 spot right now because a new season just dropped or something like that. I keep up with my Netflix hype using Fansided's Netflix Life page. But yeah, really good shows on Netflix I've enjoyed. Got football playoffs coming up, so the Sundays are going to be monitoring what's going on in the NFL. Looking forward to that. Got lots of Devils coverage coming up for everybody this weekend as well as they play. I got a pregame on Friday night. I will not be in attendance for the pregame on Saturday because I'm going to the Chicago Symphony to watch Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone on a big screen, and a live production of the John Williams music will be playing along to the movie. I think that's very, very, awesome. Thank you to Katie for getting me those tickets for Christmas. Very much looking forward to going on that adventure and seeing that live in person. So that's what I'll be watching this weekend. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone with live music and plenty of foosball and hockey.
No, you beat me.
What do you mean?
You're watching a lot more exciting things this weekend.
Yeah, I mean the one thing.
That's
Everything
big,
else
though.
is it's big.
Big.
It's going to be cool. We'll go see a Star Wars one together sometime
That'd
soon.
be
Yeah,
sick.
because Star Wars has just Star Wars and Harry Potter. I mean, John Williams does both of them in addition to Home Alone, and those have some of the best music of the movies that we like. So, looking forward to seeing that on Saturday. Frank, I think it is time for America's favorite podcast segment of the week, Breaking Bets.
Where's my money, bitch?
This is my own private domicile, bitch. The floor is yours.
We're always looking to make things better on the show. So as I told you, we're going to start keeping track of my picks. So I have a little graphic I'm going to show up every week. with my win-loss record. We went 2-1 last week, and then it'll have our statistics on the bottom on all time for each sport. What was won, what was lost. So we're always looking at ways to improve things on the show. So I like this a lot, actually. So if people tune in, they'll know, like, maybe they want to fade me in the NHL because it's a very hard sport to predict, or, maybe they want to follow in the NBA, whatever it is. We got this, and I'm very excited to debut this for the first time today. On to the picks, though. People don't care about the little graphics we throw up. People care about the picks, VP. I got 3 picks for you today. 2 are college basketball, and 1 is an NHL pick. But I kind of want to throw out like one on the fly. You should, whatever it is, I don't know what it is. I'll count this, though. It'll go towards my win-loss record, whatever it is. Take the Buccaneers and the points on Sunday. I don't know what the line is. You said it was 3. I haven't looked into it yet because normally you look at those things like closer to game time. But whatever it is, take the Bucks and the points. Don't fall into the bookies trap. Yeah, the Yale Cowboys are 11-4, whatever. No. Take the Buccaneers and the points on Sunday. But now, into the picks. Thank you, Skylar. I appreciate that. First pick. What a blockbuster of a college basketball matchup. If you're a fan of college basketball, this is on your watching list for tonight. Number 4, Alabama is traveling to number 15, Arkansas. 2 March Madness teams. What a blockbuster matchup just to have on a random Wednesday night. I'm loving Arkansas money line. Arkansas is coming off a bad 13-point loss to Auburn, which Auburn's a great team. They're ranked 2. I believe they're 22nd. So nothing bad about Auburn, but you got dominated by this Auburn team. Now you're coming home to your home floor against the number 4th team in the country, Alabama. I think Arkansas wins. I love Arkansas money line. It's a pick 'em. It's -117. This is the value. This is where you got to gobble up the value here, is on the Arkansas money line at home. Take the home team. It's going to be a great game. I'm looking forward to it. Definitely be on the TV for sure. So yeah, that's my first pick. My second pick, Creighton at number 12, Xavier. This is an interesting one. Creighton came out as one of the worst teams in college basketball, but they're very talented. They've swung it in their favor these past few games. They're finally getting healthy. They got Kalkbrenner back. He was out for a majority of their season, and now they're getting healthy. They're only 2.5-point dogs on the road. I like the +2.5 here against the 12th ranked Xavier team. I do think Creighton's better than what the record says, just because they weren't healthy for the whole season, and now they're finally getting there. They do have the talent to keep this within one basket. Hopefully that one basket's within 2 and not 3. So take Creighton +2.5 at -110. I love that pick, truly. And I switch over to the NHL now. Go to the NHL. Nothing really I liked, but I found something. Washington Capitals are going to Philadelphia to play the Philadelphia Flyers. Flyers have won 4 of their last 5. They've been cooking. Dominant win against Buffalo. They went into Buffalo and won 4-0. That was impressive from the Philadelphia Flyers. Little sketchy to take them on the money line, but I do like them +1.5. -165 is a little high. If you're feeling a little frisky, you could throw it on the money line, right? But I'm feeling do the safer thing and take the 1.5 here, because the Capitals can do Capitals things. Ovechkin may get a hat trick, and you just never know. But the Flyers at home, +1.5. I like it, -165. I like the way they're playing right now. They're a very hot team in the NHL right now. They suck, but they're hot right now. So I like them +1.5 and -165. So those will be my 3 picks today, with the bonus Bucks pick on Sunday. Take the Bucks and the points, whatever it is. Now, if news comes out and Tom Brady's not playing and something weird happened, then no, don't take the Bucks. Keep an eye on it. But if it's relatively the same, or you got some good value, everybody's playing, take the Bucks and the points on Sunday night as my bonus pick.
There you go. There's Frankie's breaking bets. 2-1 last week, eh?
It's not bad. The only
What
one
was
I
the
lost,
NHL game you picked?
I had I had my research all wrong. I didn't expect Elliott to play for the Lightning in back-to-back games. He played the one game. He played Tuesday. Then he also played Wednesday, which I was a little shocked. I don't know if Vasilevsky was injured or ill or whatever happened. I was not expecting him to play. I had the Wild scoring less than 3 goals, and they just lit up Elliott. And if I honestly would have known he was playing back-to-back, that's a little bit different. A goaltender playing back-to-back. It's different than the team playing back-to-back. But no, if Vasilevsky was in that game, I don't think they would have gotten 3, because he hasn't let up. he's only let up 4 like twice this year or so. So it's like, wow. I mean, I totally got shit on in that game. They like lit up Elliott for 5. I didn't realize he was playing, but a loss is a loss. But I'll take my 2-1 record. If I could finish like 58% or 60% or better, that's really good. I'm shooting for above.
Absolutely.
I'm shooting for 60% by the end of 2023.
People like make millions being 60%.
It's tough. It's tough. Some of the best in the world don't even get to 60%. So
Yeah.
the 2-1 start, good start to start off 2023. But I like this new keeping track of it. It'll grow too. The different sports we have next week, there'll be an NFL one on there for my Bucks pick. And
Frankie's gonna be at 40% in August. He's gonna be like, I'm done with this graphic. Fuck this graphic. He's gonna
it should
want
be
to get rid of
interesting.
Breaking Bet segment altogether because he's not gonna be able to afford fucking sitting in his basement. Just kidding. You're gonna win every game. Positive vibes only. It's just
Skyler likes
money.
it. Skyler likes it. VP.
No, he loves it.
He loves it.
Yeah, that's intense. But I'm excited about what's going on in the NHL. There's a lot of greatness coming up. There's some good things going on, and I love that the football playoffs are here. They say the NFL season is like a big sandwich, and you know that big sandwich has pretty good flavor early on in the sandwich, but they put the best ingredients right at the end. And when your sandwich is gone, you're kind of sad. Like, I'm not getting another sandwich till October or till August. And it's not going to taste as good, early on in this, portion of the sandwich. It gets tastier and tastier every day. But we have that big flavorful piece of the sandwich coming right up here, and it's going to be delicious.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very much looking forward to it. I can't thank everybody enough in the chat for joining our show. Frank, did you see Dan and Aldo Bare Their Souls is just now Bare Their Souls? It's a whole different thing. They switched it up right after we talked about it, and they had their debut episode last night. So everybody needs to go make sure that they watch the debut episode of Bare Their Souls.
And Bare Their Souls?
Yeah. And I think I haven't watched it in full yet, but I'm excited to see what kind of differences they made to the show. I love what they bring to talking football and talking sports in general. The Bears the Bears season is over. So, follow them for the off season, follow what's going on with me at the Windy City. The Windy City, I told you the Windy City was almost dead. Mm-hmm. In the last week, it's been the hottest site I'm a part of.
I figured you were sniffing some sort of glue.
And the Chicago Bears getting the number 1 overall pick in the draft.
What's your Jaguars?
It's black and teal. Black and teal. And of course, you can follow my freshly new Jacksonville Jaguars coverage at blackandteal.com. Very much looking forward to what we got cooking with that, with the playoffs coming up. And then right when their season comes to an end, hopefully it's not on Saturday night, but it very well could be against the Los Angeles Chargers. We're diving right into the offseason. FanDuel has them as the number 1 favorites to land a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. So you certainly think they're going to try to make another big move like that at some point during their offseason, depending on when their offseason actually begins. But all of the hockey work at puckpros.com and pucksandpitchforks.com. Jack Hughes is an absolute super stud. And then Southside Showdown for all my Chicago White Sox stuff. And I haven't forgotten about the Cub fans. They can read plenty of things at thewindycity.com in addition to Blackhawks and Bears coverage. And then Frankie's over at apptrigger.com talking about all the video game news. Saw some stuff about controllers earlier today that I got to read into and, finish reading all my articles for the day. Very much looking forward to it.
My next article is going to be one you're really interested in.
I'm pumped. And yeah, all the great shows at the Barroom Network tomorrow. Crosstown Crosstalk at 2 p.m. Mike North is doing his thing with his show, and I got a shout out from Mike North on Twitter today. Thank you, Mike North. Very much looking forward to all the great shows at the Barroom Network. Science Fiction, I'm sure, is going to go over the Ant-Man Quantumania trailer, and then when the movie comes out, it's going to be a must-see TV episode of Science Fiction. And then with football draft coverage coming up, I believe there's some big things. I don't know if I'm allowed to hint at what. They talked about it on one of the episodes of Bare Their Souls, but I don't know if they made a formal announcement yet, so I'll hold it off. But there's some big things coming with the Barroom Network with draft coverage coming up. So if you want to learn about, potential picks that the Bears could take if they trade down or if they stay with the number 1 overall pick, or, there are all sorts of different options out there. And I think you have a chance to improve your football acumen here at the Barroom Network and by reading fansided.com. I can't thank everybody enough for tuning in. For Frankie Mueller on Twitter at the King Bean, my name is Vinnie Parise. That's our show. As always, thank you for listening.